Bookaholics, so welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing you a dedicated series review of a Miss Percy's Guidebooks by Quenby Olson. The Miss Percy Guidebooks are a series of Regency cozy fantasy romances that consists of Miss Percy's Pocket Guide to the Care and Feeding of British Dragons, Miss Percy's Travel Guide to Welsh Moors and Feral Dragons, and Miss Percy's Definitive Guide to the Restoration of Dragons. In this series we are following Mildred Percy, who is a spinster and she is a governess, which are not things that are well received in Regency society. We are in Regency England during this series, and Mildred lives with her sister as a governess to her sister's children. Mildred has always put everyone else's well-being before her own, hence why she has ended up a spinster, because she spent so much time caring for her father in his final years. Satisfied that she will simply be trusted to work for her sister for the remainder of her life, a sister who does not think well of her, who belittles her, and who treats her like staff, she is resigned to this semi-miserable existence. However, a uncle that she did not know that she had happens to mention her in his will, and amongst the belongings that she is given, none of which are of huge value, there is a dragon egg. And as eggs are wont to do, this one hatches. Needing to figure out what to do with dragons, not knowing if there are dragons in the world. This is not something that is commonplace in this world. She has never heard of a real dragon before, and she now has one. So she has to figure out what to do with it, how to care for it, and she ends up getting assistance from the local vicar. Thus ensues a slow burn romance, fantasy adventure, light academia, Regency story. I love Regency romance. I love light academia. I love fantasy quests. Genres that I love, all in one book. Like, this is just amazing. The series obviously goes on way past just trying to keep this baby dragon alive and not setting things on fire. We have a kind of mystery element to it, and we have a journeying element to it. We have a encampment where we learn about dragons. Throughout the series we have different settings, different tones, all within the confines of cozy, I will add. There are some moments there that are intense, that have heavy discussions, but they're all presented in this relatively cozy way. Also having an older protagonist, as far as I'm aware, Mildred is in her 40s, which again, unheard of, especially in Regency. Apparently once you're past 25, you're past your peak. So having these older protagonists is always awesome, especially in a genre that never embraces aging. I also really appreciated the fact that we have a very gentle and very kind love interest. Another thing that you see a lot of in Regency is the Jane Austen effect, which is that you have your decoy romantic interest and your actual romantic interest, and the actual romantic interest is presented as someone who's very stern, very taciturn, and then eventually softens up, and you have your decoy love interest that is this really fun, happy-go-lucky douchebag. And neither of those are present here in this story. We just have this cinnamon roll sweetheart of a vicar, which I really appreciated. We also have the lady that works for the vicar as a prominent character. We see Mildred's sister, but we see a lot of her children as well, because obviously they have been in Mildred's care. So seeing a lot of the people that she has helped raise and seeing what influences their parents have had on these children versus the influences that Mildred has had on these children is also fascinating. Seeing that all of this laced over this light academia fantasy is just done in such a wonderful way. I love the writing style and how engrossing it is, how immersive it is. I love that these dragons feel real because they are surprising. It's, if a dragon happened to crop up now, we'd just all be a bit like, what? And that's exactly how everyone feels in this series. Anyone who encounters Fitz the dragon is like, what? And I love that because it feels, all of their reactions, the different reactions different people give to the existence of the dragon are really realistic. Incorporating it into society and what that could potentially mean on a social level, on a global level, political level, all of that is fascinating as well, all while being carried out by the most wholesome characters. And I really appreciated this story and the way you can have cozy fantasy. I am not a fan of cozy fantasy, it seems. I thought I was, but the two most prominent ones, which are Legends and Lattes and House and Cerulean Sea, were not quite for me. But this series, though it is definitely cozy fantasy, there are higher stakes, there are still things at risk, there are still points of action and contention, there are still dangers, there is still a intense and fast moving plot happening throughout the series. It's not parked that in exchange for something cozy. So this is one that, while Legends and Lattes feels like a typical cozy romance that you'd get in contemporary, just seen through a fantasy veneer, this one feels like a Regency story, and it feels like a fantasy story, and tonally is what makes it cozy and sweet and cute. Also, our protagonists are what make it cute. They are the kind of people that are genuinely good people. They are sweet people. They are kind people who happen to be embroiled in this. And I really appreciated the way that Quenby Olson went about this story, because I think that she handled the level of coziness in a way that really works for me. So therefore, if you are a fan of Regency romances, if you are a fan of cozy fantasy, if you are a fan of light academia, if you are a fan of quest-like fantasy, especially from the second one onwards, I would highly recommend you check out this series. I gave book 1, I think, 4 stars, and then books 2 and 3 5 stars. I had a great time with this series. If you are into trying some indie and self-pub fantasy, this is definitely a good place to start. It just has so many elements that worked so well for me. So if your tastes align with mine, then I would definitely stay check it out, especially if you're a fan. I can see how this would get compared to the likes of Lady Trent, and while I understand, I don't think it is, because I think if you put Lady Trent, if you took a Lady Trent book but made it cozy fantasy, made it cuter and gentler, if you want someone who's not quite as stoic and as to the point as Isabella from Lady Trent is, if you want a more emotional connection with your protagonist than you'd get in Lady Trent, then I think you would really enjoy Mildred and therefore the Miss Percy's guidebooks. On the flip side, I think if you're really liking the really highly academic and socio-political vibes of Lady Trent, then this might not be for you, because it is cozier and it is, as I keep saying, it is gentler and softer. So while it is present, it's not anywhere near to the same degree as Lady Trent. So I think going in with the right expectations and just seeing light academia plus dragons plus Regency, boom, Lady Trent, I think that's not quite right, because this is cozy fantasy, while Lady Trent I don't consider cozy fantasy. But yes, that is all for this review. So let me know if you've read this series and your thoughts on it. Let me know if, based on my enjoyment of this series, if there is another book or series that you would recommend. And that is all from me for today. Bye!